Hi everyone, welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. So today we have another episode of the King's Breakfast. We definitely try to put that out weekly for you guys. It's a nice little tradition that we started just to have a nice hot breakfast once a week at the minimum. And so today what we're going to be doing is a steak skillet breakfast. So we're going to have lots of veggies, steak of course, potatoes, eggs, and cheese, and then we're gonna have fresh fruit. So I have our grapes already washing up in our sink, and I'm gonna show you how we cut our pineapple. So when you have your pineapple, you're just gonna lay it down on your cutting board. Unless you have a sweet little gadget that decors it for you and everything, this is just an easy way to cut it. So you're gonna take a serrated knife. Serrated means it has these ridges on it, or a bread knife. And then we're just going to cut off the top and bottom. Okay, and then our bottom. And if you have a compost, you can just compost all that. And I'm going to turn it upright. So now it is stationary. And now we're just going to cut all the way around the skin. Try to get as many of those eyes off as you can while you're slicing around that skin. Get rid of all this. So next we're going to cut the meat of the pineapple around the core. And we're just going to leave it up like this. And we're just going to make kind of 4 cuts. So the core is in the middle. So we're just going to cut 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Okay? So just straight down. Lay that off to the side, and then what you can do now is turn that down so that it's a lot more flat and stationary for you. Still going by the core, just going up from that and right down the side. That's your second cut, and then you can turn this over so that you're always cutting down. There's your third cut, and then we'll just flip this over. And then you can actually feel here with your knife where it's not tender. Out here is tender. And then you'll know exactly where to cut there. This is your core. You can throw this away. And then see this last piece, we got all the core off of. So I'm just gonna cube this up a little bit in the bite-sized pieces. And then we'll pop that in our bowl back here. So we're starting here with our potatoes. I'm just giving them a rough peel, and then I'm just giving them a little bit of a slice. We're gonna wrap them in this paper towel, put them in our microwave. Just wanna pre-cook them a little bit. That way they'll cook up in our skillet a lot faster. Just gonna put those in there for 3 minutes. Alrighty guys, so I have my cast iron skillet here with some butter and olive oil. And I put our onions in already. Just trying to saute these. Next I cubed up our tomato and our potato. I'm going to add in our potato right now. I also have some sweet potatoes as well. So I'm going to add in our potato because the potato needs to cook first. It already pre-cooked a little bit in the microwave to help it soften. And next, this is just going to help it to brown. And then we'll be adding in our peppers, and then our tomatoes will be last. So basically, when you're thinking about which vegetables to add in first, you want to add in the ones that need to cook the longest. And then the ones that don't need to cook as long, you add them in a little towards the middle to end process. I'm just going to finish chopping up the rest of my vegetables, and I'll see you back here real soon. Alrighty, so I'm just using a half of a yellow and an orange bell pepper. I put all of our potatoes in so far. We're going to want to let these saute. And then next, we're going to season this. Give it a nice little stir. This is nice to make if you have a lot of people to feed as well. All right, so next we're going to season this. I'm going to add some seasoned salt. And do some white pepper. Parsley. Hit it with some parsley. A little bit of red pepper flake for a little bit of heat. And then we'll give this a stir. Want everything to get browned. And all to be coated in that butter as well. You got a little bit more butter in there. Just to get all nice and mixed through. I like to use olive oil and butter, a combination of the two. Gives a nice flavor. And this is basically your basic for a hash. If you ever want to make hash browns, like a country hash, this is how you do it. Sweet potato is optional. I just like to put the sweet potato in there because I know Mark likes it. So what I'm going to do next is let this cook for a little bit longer. I want them to soften up and brown. And then in the meantime, I'm going to be shredding our pepper jack cheese and preparing some spinach as well to go in there. And along with our beef. So our beef, we actually cooked a chuck roast. We cooked a chuck roast last night in the crock pot. And I'll show you what it looks like. We just pulled it out. Obviously there's a fat layer on there, so we're going to scoop that fat off, and I'm going to cut this beef up. So that beef turned out really, really well. I didn't really have to use a ton of seasoning on that. I just did salt and pepper, did my cowboy seasoning. I had another rub that I used, beef rub. You could do anything like that. And that's pretty much it. I wanted it to be, you know, and then I put a packet of onion soup mix in there. And that's about it. So we'll see you guys back here shortly. All right, guys, next we're going to add a couple of handfuls of spinach. I'm just going to rip it as I put it in here. Always cooks down, so I like to have a mixture of different colors, especially when you're making something like this with a lot of different vegetables. It always makes it look so much prettier and tastier because you're getting a lot more vitamins and flavors. Okay, next we're going to add in our tomatoes. Already diced them up over here. So obviously these are the softer vegetables that you would add in like towards the middle to end, like what we're doing. And since our steak is already cooked, like I mentioned, I seared it first. And if you want to know how to do that, I've made a few videos on that already. If you want to see a new video on that, how I sear off steaks and roasts, definitely mention that in the comments below. And I'm going to season every layer that goes into this. So now we're going to season these two parts before we mix everything in. I'm just going to add a little bit of seasoned salt. I think that's really all it needs because I tasted it before. And then we'll be mixing these guys in. Got a lot of beautiful color going on in there now. Okay. Next we're going to chop up our steak, whether you have steak or a roast, whatever you have. We have a chuck roast today. Let's get our cheese out of the way. That'll be the last part. Okay. So, like I said, this is cold. We did have it sitting out of the refrigerator for a little bit. You want to make sure that you take it out of the refrigerator just to kind of get it up to room temperature. And then you're just going to find where your grain is. If it's going this way, then we are going to cut the opposite way, cross grain. And you can do this in many different ways. If you want slices like this, that's perfectly fine. I think that's what we're going to do for this one. You can cube it. I think we'll just do slices. Okay. And then we're just going to put this right into our skillet. And just kind of break it up a little bit. So it's all incorporated. Once again, you have the grain going this way, so we are going to cut in the opposite direction. And you see I'm cutting a little bit at an angle, like a 45-degree angle. That's a general rule from when you're slicing meat. Just helps it to cut a little bit smoother. I'm going to leave another one here. Just give this a nice little mix. So your steak really needs heated through because we don't want to overcook it. Now we're getting to the point where we're going to put our eggs in here. Our heat is turned back. I have it on about a 2. It's looking really good. Just let all those flavors marry together. Next, we're going to add our eggs, and we're actually just going to make little pockets and put our eggs right in throughout our skillet. Okay. You can add as many or as little eggs as you want. Since we have a lot going on here, I think 4 will be enough for what we need. Then you just drop your eggs into those little wells that you've made. Gently, of course. You want to try to preserve the yolk if you can. We like ours usually once over medium. Okay, so now we're actually going to pop our lid on And we're gonna let the egg steam so that it cooks the top. And this is probably gonna cook for just probably another 2 to 3 minutes, but we'll be back once it's ready. And in the meantime, I almost forgot, we're gonna sprinkle our cheese on top. So I do have some pepper jack cheese here. We want this to start getting melted. We don't want to put it in too late to where your egg is done, and then you don't want it to be overcooked when it's trying to melt your cheese. Just sprinkle our cheese around. You can use as little or as much as you want. It's a beautiful dish. Okay, so now we'll pop the lid on and we'll let it cook for, I'll check it in probably about 2 minutes. So we'll see you then. All right, so here we are coming down to the last parts of it. So you just want all of your whites of your egg to be cooked. Now we're gonna season the eggs very gently with a little bit of salt and fine pepper. Just a little dash here of both. You wanna wait until your egg cooks, until you season it. Otherwise it will release a little bit more water. Okay, and then we are done. So we can just turn off this heat. And I have our spatula here. I'm just kind of cutting around our egg. And I have a little bit of avocado, sliced avocado on our plate. Go with it. And then Mark made us some toast. Here we are, guys. A beautiful steak skillet that could feed a lot of people. Sweet potato, white potato, yellow and orange bell pepper, spinach, tomato, with any kind of cheese you like. We use pepper jack, it's one of our favorites. And then your egg. And if you like your egg cooked a little bit more than this, by all means, you can do that. And you can use any protein you like too. You can do chicken, you can do different sausages. There's all different kinds of stuff you can do with this. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you're sure to know whenever I upload a new video. The next one that we're going to be doing after this is boneless chicken wings, so we're going to make that for our next meal. So definitely stay tuned, and I will see you guys in the next video.